Good day, people of YouTube. What's going on? My name is AK and welcome to eXtremeAzure. And today we have an X-React video presentation because this is a very serious topic and I wanted to make a video about this because, like I said, it's very serious. And this has to do with a situation that has inflicted quite a number of Switch owners. Well, I say quite a number, but there have been a few reports. That's a better way to put it. There have been a few reports of people having their systems bricked after the recent 5.0 update. And that all has to do with the fact that they've been using third-party docks. Now, third-party docks for Nintendo Switch have been a really hot topic because there have been so many from so many different companies, right? And the reason why these third-party docks have become so popular is because a lot of people think that the original Switch dock that comes with every system is too big. People are concerned about it scratching their screens. People are concerned about it causing the console to overheat. And really, when it comes to the overheating issue and the scratching issue, these are very isolated incidents. Like, the Switch hasn't really overheated. Like, there have been cases of the Switch bending, and yes, there have been cases where the screen has gotten scratched, but my Switch is bent, but that's not from the dock. Apparently it's an issue that comes from the factory, and I've had it for a couple months now, and the screen has never been scratched. And I take it out, not very often, but I take it in and out of the dock often enough to where if it was going to happen, I'm pretty sure it would have happened by now. So anyway, that's why the Switch dock is seen as one of the things that people like to replace. That's why we have so many companies who've made these third-party docks. Now, the problem is that with this 5.0 update, a lot of stuff have changed about the Switch that you may not actually realize. So, the main reason why I wanted to make this video is because I was inspired by another big YouTuber. I say another big YouTuber. Another YouTuber who is far bigger than I am is the better way to say it. Far bigger than my channel is Spawnwave. You may know him if you follow the gaming scene here on YouTube, but he recently made a video saying that his Switch died, and the story he told was that he had his Switch docked to a Nyko dock, which has a very bad reputation. I'm going to get into that in just a second, but he had a Switch docked to the Nyko dock, and after a play session, his Switch would no longer turn on. I believe he said that he played the Switch and then he came back the next day or the next morning and his Switch was dead. It would not turn on. It was giving him a screen where the Nintendo logo would come up and then the battery meter would show red and then the system would just shut back down. And that situation has happened with quite a number of other people who have used that Nyko dock. That Nyko dock has some type of fault where it has bricked Switch systems. It hasn't happened to everyone who's used a Nyko dock, but to some people. It happened even before the situation with Spawnwave. So, why has this all of a sudden happened to his Switch? Well, that 5.0 update, like I just said a few moments ago, changed a lot of things with the Switch. Now, that update has gotten a lot of criticism because people feel that there was no reason for it to be called a 5.0 update. People feel that it should have just been called a 4.2 update because Nintendo upgraded it to 5.0 and there wasn't really that much on the surface. It added a few new things like the ability to add Twitter and Facebook friends and a few other changes, but these were relatively minor. But really the major changes, the reason why they decided to label it as the 5.0 update is because a lot of internal coding changes happened that more or less locked out hackers. Like, hackers have completely frozen all of their progress because that 5.0 update has changed so much that at this point the Switch is now impenetrable, more or less. We don't know how long that will last, but Nintendo has done quite a lot to secure their system, which is great. I applaud them for doing it. But because this 5.0 update has done so much changes to that internal coding, that has caused interference with these third-party docks, because after that update there have been a few reports where people who have the Nyko dock as well as other docks, like the dock from Insignia, which has a much better reputation, that using these third-party docks has bricked their systems. Now, in the case of the Nyko dock, like I said, that had a fault already. But with these other docks, these docks that haven't had the same problem, why are they all of a sudden causing such mass havoc for some Switch owners? Well, the Switch, the way it's built, the way it's programmed, it interacts with docks very interestingly. Like, you cannot connect just any old USB-C video-enabled cable to the Switch and expect it to work. Like if you have an adapter that has, let's say, USB-C to HDMI, you can't just plug that into the Switch and connect it to a display output and expect it to work. It's just not going to work. That's why third parties have had to create alternative docks. Like they've had to use the same components, more or less, that's in the original Switch dock, just put into a much smaller shell. Like when a Switch is connected to a dock, it handshakes with the components in that dock, and that is what then tells that Switch internals to go into docked mode. So that sends the video signal to the TV output or monitor output and boosts the clock speed of the Tegra chip and allows the Switch to run in console or docked mode. So that's what's happening here. So within that process, right, commands are sent back and forth between a dock and the Switch itself. And with this 5.0 update, apparently that's changed something in the code, something in the Switch code. And so now when those commands are being sent back and forth between the Switch and these docks, that's what's causing the issue. That's what's causing the systems to now get bricked, because apparently now the Switch is just more or less, there's conflicting commands going on. That's what seems to be the case here. And that's what happened to Spawnwave and a few other people who are now running into this issue. So as a result, really what you have to do now is just not use any third-party docks. They are now a potential hazard to your system. Now, even if you despise that original Switch dock, it is absolutely not worth it to still continue using a third-party dock, which does now have the potential to totally brick your system if all you're trying to do is just get a little bit more convenience out of the situation. Like, it's just not worth it. Do you want convenience or do you want to lose $300? Take your pick. Like, if you bought your Switch at launch or close to launch last year, chances are that your warranty is now about to be expired, depending on where you bought it from. So if your Switch is bricked, chances are you might have to just outright buy the system all over again. Like, your warranty is not going to be able to cover that. So it really isn't worth it. And on top of that, even if you get a new Switch, like what Spawnwave has unfortunately come to grips with, is that all your save data will be lost. There's currently no way to back up the Switch save data. You can't. The only data that you can move back and forth off the system is screenshots. That's it. Screenshots and videos. That is literally it. But save data is completely immovable. There's no cloud service to back up the save data to, and you can't even move it to the micro SD card. So if your Switch is bricked, if there's no way you can get access to it, even if you buy a new Switch, you cannot do any sort of system transfer or anything. So it is not worth it. That means that if your Switch is bricked, you're going to lose your entire system and you're going to lose all your save data. It's just not worth it for a matter of convenience. Yes, some of these third-party docks are nice, not in this current situation. I would recommend that you just stick with the original dock and use it until this situation is sorted out. And I'm not sure if this was planned by Nintendo, maybe. Like, if you want to be a conspiracy theorist, you could say that, well, maybe Nintendo did this deliberately just to stop people from buying these third-party docks, but I don't see why they would do that. There's no real sense in them doing that. So I really think that this was just an unfortunate side effect on what was otherwise actually a pretty big, pretty important update. This was just a side effect. And in a way, this kind of reminds me of what happened. I forgot exactly which update it was. I think it was probably version 4.0, where after that update, the Switch suddenly gained compatibility with all sorts of things. Like, there was compatibility for the GameCube controller Wii U adapter, for example. All of a sudden, people could use their GameCube controllers with that adapter that was originally meant for the Wii U on their Switch. And then there was support added for USB wireless headsets that wasn't mentioned by Nintendo, but they added that functionality with that update. So now we're seeing the reverse, where this newer update has now caused incompatibility. Before it was actual compatibility, now it's incompatibility. So this just seems to be like an unfortunate side effect. And on the note of that GameCube controller compatibility thing, Nintendo said that they didn't even know that it was enabled with that update. According to Reggie, he said, "We were just as surprised as everyone else was." Now, is there any truth to that? Perhaps? I don't know. I'm not going to call him a liar on that note, but stuff just happened. And in this case, it seems like third-party companies may have to do some altering to their switch docks in order to now be compatible with whatever this new set of internal coding Nintendo has put inside the Switch. So we'll see how the situation develops, but for now, just don't use any third-party docks. Just avoid it, especially if you have that Nyko dock you already bought what was essentially a bomb that may or may not blow up, but now that bomb just has even more of a chance to blow up. So if you have that Nyko dock, avoid it. And if you have any other dock, you can take the chance if you really want to, but in this situation, it would just not be wise to do so. But anyway, guys, I'm getting the video here. That's all I have to say on the situation. I just wanted to put out this little announcement just in case you didn't know. So I hope this video will help you or someone who you know who owns a third-party dock to avoid running into a terrible situation with your Nintendo Switch. With that said, until next time, guys, have a good one, and I hope to see you in the next video.